Well, hello there, everyone. Hopefully, you're doing outstanding. Today is Saturday, July 23rd in the year 2022. Hopefully, whatever you're doing this weekend is not expensive. If you go out in the sun a lot, wear sunscreen. Okay, let's see. First of all, I'm not a financial advisor, I'm not a CPA, and I'm not an attorney. But I'm going to talk a little bit here on how you can buy your first house, maybe your 10th, your 20th, your 100th, etc., etc., etc. Because what is in common with buying your first, 10th, 100th, 5,000, whatever? What's common between all of those? I'll tell you what it is. We need money, right? You got to have money to buy another house. If you have never bought a rental property, but you live in your own single family home, you may recall, for some of you, that buying your home is probably one of the most stressful things you have ever done. Because it's your biggest expense. It's stressful. You're dealing with a bank to get a mortgage for the very first time. It's stressful. Okay? So when you buy your first rental property, there's a good chance for some of you it's going to be stressful. Okay? So, however, when you buy your first rental property, you have a couple options. Depends on where you live at, and depends on a lot of things. Do you buy one local to you? Do you buy one out of the market, out of the area? For a lot of people, not all of you, I would say if you can buy one local to you first, it's a good way to get your feet wet. It's a good way to get some skin in the game. It's a good way to buy something, see that you have it. You can touch it. You can knock on the door, etc., etc., etc. You can self-manage if you want to get the experience of self-managing. But there's a learning curve. Get some of the books I have behind me. There's Got a Bigger Pockets bookstore. Look at Brandon Turner. There's ones about how to manage your rental properties, how to buy your read one of those books because you'll know so much more than I knew when I bought my first rental house. Because that's what I did. I bought one local to me and I self-managed it. My first 5 or 6 doors, I did that. Okay? So anyway, with that being said, you got to get a mortgage. If you buy one local to you, I'd suggest, if it was me doing it, because this is what I did, I'd contact my local credit union or a local community bank. Because many times the local credit union or community bank can give you better terms, better rates than the big banks, the big boys. Okay? If you're buying one out of state, out of the area, it's harder to use your local credit union because if you're in a different state, odds are you can't do it. Yes, you could use one of the big banks, or you could use a bank like I've used for a lot of my real estate is called Prime Lending. On my channel, you look at my playlist, interviews with others. I have a chat with Jerry Padilla from Prime Lending. He's located in Rochester, New York. He has given me mortgages in Florida, Indiana, and Alabama, and Virginia. I think just those 3 states anyway. But multiple mortgages between the missus and I, using him as the lender. Okay. I am also using a non-QM lender called Kiavi. Okay. I use them to buy my first house in Chicago. They look at the asset, not at the individual. So it's one of the easiest processes to deal with a financial institution to borrow money to buy a house that I've ever experienced, because they didn't ask me for tax returns and deeds and insurance policies for every single property I owned. All they wanted was information on the house that I'm buying, and they did a soft credit pool on me to get my credit score, just a soft pool, not a hard pool. So it didn't affect my credit score. Okay? But now Kiave, since then, they changed the rules to the game. You can still use them, and I'm still using them, but they've changed the rules in the middle of things. Because I'm in the middle of things, and they've changed the rules on me. So a couple things they changed is, I'm going to run down real quick just so you know, in case you're considering Kiave. They raised their credit score limit, minimum credit score up to 680. Okay, 680. I don't know what it was before. I don't remember. My credit score is around 800. So I'm good to go there. They say that now that their minimum loan amount for buying a rental property is $100,000. Okay, that there prevents me from buying almost all the property I've ever bought, because most of the property I've ever bought has been under $100,000. And the minimum loan amount is 100,000, so that means you got to buy it at 125, 130,000 because you got to put 20 or 25% down to keep the loan amount, above 100 grand. So that knocks them out as a potential lender for straight up buying a house like off the MLS for me, for the most part. Okay. But the third thing they said is you have to have the property in an entity to do something with it, to refinance it, to buy it. So I asked them, I said, wait a second, if I got to buy a house in it, that's in it, how do I buy a house off the MLS in an entity when I don't own it? And they said I have to have an entity, such as a trust or an LLC, as the borrower. So my trust or my LLC is the borrower to buy that house, which then has to be a minimum loan amount of $100,000. Okay? But now if you have a house, like I have a house in Indiana and I have a house in Chicago, I pay cash for. Okay? So this is where it comes into play. You might have a little bit of money right now. You might have 25 rentals and get some cash, so you pay cash for a house. Maybe you're in your 100th rental, so you got lots of cash. So you pay cash for a house. But you want to refinance it. Maybe it needed work. Maybe you're kind of doing the BRRRR strategy in a way. You want to refinance it. So that's what I did. I bought a house in Gary for $45,500, put roughly $19,000, $20,000 into it, so about $65,000 all in. And now I'm in the process of getting that house put into a trust and an LLC, Child Series LLC. And then I will do a cashback refinance. For a cashback refinance, their minimum currently is still $50,000, not $100,000, but $50,000. Hopefully it'll stay there. Hopefully they don't, when I'm already ready to refinance, they don't change the rules on me again, because I'm guessing that house in Indiana may appraise for anywhere from 80 to 90 to 110, 120,000. Okay, which means my minimum loan amount, or my loan amount, my goal is probably to get a mortgage for $65,000, roughly 65 to 70,000, and just pull all that cash back out. It's currently rented. A tenant has moved in for $1,250. So I've run the numbers. If I get a mortgage for $65,000, I'm positively cash flowing, and I get all my money back. Okay. So if you want to use Chiave, that's some of the conditions. Okay. I am also exploring private money. Okay. If I can find the right person out there with private money, I may try to utilize them. So if any of you are watching this and you have deep pockets, and maybe you got $50, $80, $100,000, and you got it in the bank, you don't want to put it in the stock market because it's too volatile, and you got it in the bank getting 1% interest. If you're looking for a better return that, in my humble opinion, is safe, because it's me, and you want to make a loan to me where I could buy a rental property, reach out and we'll connect and we'll talk. mazkefinance@gmail.com. Email is always in the description below. Let me know. We can discuss terms and rates. I'll tell you what I can do for you, how I can guarantee the money, and if I borrow from you, and you can tell me what you'll do. So anyway, that being that, a couple things I'm looking to do. Excuse me, my voice is rough again this morning. All right, a couple things I'm looking to do. I have started the process to put several properties into trust and LLCs. Once I do that, one, I'm expediting and I'm speeding it up, paying a little extra to get chop, get it done. That's my first house in Chicago. I'm going to basically put that into a 30-year fixed rate mortgage. I'm going to basically break even on it. Okay, I won't get any cash back. I'll just kind of break even. I'll get a mortgage on it, and I will positively cash flow because the tenant has moved into that house. That one I bought for $70,000. Put about $20K all in, so that's $90K. Then using Chiave, I had their fees and charges. So my guess is by the time it's all said and done, 95, 97, 98, somewhere in there. I don't know the exact number of what it'll be all in. But I'll probably end up putting about $20K down. I've already put a down payment on the house. But when it's all said and done and I do the refinance, I'm guessing I'm going to try to refinance it around $70,000 or $75,000. And then I'll basically pay off the current loan I have with Chiave. I don't want to get a higher mortgage, so I'll pay it off, and then I'll just have a mortgage, and I'll have some skin in the game. I'll have maybe $20K in that house, roughly. Okay. The house in Gary I told you about, I plan to pull out hopefully 65-ish K on it. I do have a house right now that is in Gary, Indiana. I bought it 2 years ago. I am refinancing that. Kiave has been dragging their feet. They're slow. Because it should have been refinanced. We should have closed on July the 11th. Then we should have closed on July the 15th. And then it should have been the 18th, 19th, 20th, 21st, 22nd. And we still haven't had closing. I'm being told it should be next week. It's one thing after another with them. I personally now cannot give a strong recommendation to them anymore because it's just one thing after another. But anyway, we should close hopefully sometime this week. I am doing a cashback refinance on it. I have seller finance with it. So that outstanding mortgage is currently about $38,300. So when I get I'm going to refinance it at $96,000 because it appraised for $160,000. Okay, so when I refinance it at $96,000, I'll have a mortgage for $96,000 roughly. I will pay off the seller who sold it to me with seller financing $38,300, and I will get roughly $50,000 back because there'll be some closing costs and whatnot that'll come out of there. So I'll get roughly $50K back. So I'll get that back the soonest, probably maybe next week. That'll build up my cash reserves because I'm like depleting them. So that'll build it back up a little bit. And then I'll proceed with the house in Chicago, the other house in Gary, and I have a second house in Chicago. I'm going to put it into a trust and LLC. So maybe by August, September, I'll be refinancing that one. I paid cash for that house also. And I did it different. I paid cash for it so I don't have all those expenses with Kiavi. And I may try to pull out $75,000, get a mortgage for $75,000. So when it's all said and done by hopefully September, I'm going to have some extra money to invest with. I'm looking at different things right now. I've looked at some houses that I could, if they were available in 2 months, I could potentially buy them. But if I buy them, how am I buying them? Okay, we'll see. I've looked at it. Do I try to find houses on the MLS that don't need $20,000 worth of work, that need maybe $3,000 or $5,000 worth of work, where I can buy it, paint it, clean it up, paint it, and rent it quicker, let it season for 4 months, and maybe do a cashback refinance. But the gamble there is I spend my cash to buy it, and what if rates keep going up and I just can't pull out very much? You know, maybe I pull out $30,000 because rates are going too high and I don't want to do it. So there's risk there. I've also thought about the possibility of buying more mineral rights. If I get a chunk of money, I ran some numbers. I could get potentially like 9 more acres of mineral rights acreage. If I did that, I've talked about mineral rights in prior videos. You can search out those videos on oil drilling and mineral rights. If I bought 9 acres of mineral rights, I wouldn't buy 9 acres in one portfolio. I'd probably buy 1 acre in 9 different portfolios. So it would take 6 to 8 to 9 months to make these purchases probably. But if I did that, I don't have an asset like a house that will appreciate over time, or I could do a cashback refinance, but I do have an asset and I own the mineral rights acreage. And then I will start getting cash flow without having to worry about expenses, repairs, vacancies, capital expenditures, etc. So I like that investment also. I like having rental property also. So we'll see. There's other possibilities of things I may do. So again, if you're buying your first house, it may be the most stressful thing you ever do, but stick with it. Keep plugging away. If you get your first one, you get a bad tenant. I did it. I got a bad tenant. I wanted to quit, but I didn't. I stuck with it. Other YouTubers have done the same thing. They had a bad experience with the first one, but they stuck with it. Other folks out there, you may know some, had a bad experience, and they sold their property and they don't have it anymore, and they're still working a job perhaps because they're not living off their investments. So if you get started, no matter if you have a great experience or you have a poor experience, stick with it. Keep plugging away. One house at a time. One rental at a time. One asset at a time. Just stick with it. Keep plugging away. And you will be successful. You will be successful. It doesn't matter that Kiave is changing the rules of the game. It doesn't matter that mortgage rates are going up. It doesn't matter what the government's doing. It doesn't matter who's running for president in 2024. It doesn't matter. What matters is the person you see in the mirror when you look in it. What do you have in you? Do you have it in you to become a successful investor? Do you? It's up to you. It's not up to me. It's not up to any other YouTuber out there. Other YouTubers out there sometimes have 1 million followers. Some have 20,000, some have 5,000, some have 300. The YouTubers that have 1 million, I guarantee you there's not 1 million people buying real estate. The 350 subscribe to my channel. I guarantee you not all 350 are buying real estate or will ever buy real estate. Because even though you may watch this video, the odds are against you ever becoming a successful investor. And I'll say it again. The odds are against you ever becoming a successful investor. Because most Americans out there, most human beings out there, don't have the grit and determination to do it. So, be successful. Do it. Just do it. It's not rocket science. It's not that complicated. Anyone almost can do what I've done, or what Michael Zuber's done, or what Dion's done, or what Millennial Mike's done, or what Helicopter Pilot Caleb has done. Anybody can do it. Anybody. And if you don't do it, the only person to blame is the person you see when you look in the mirror. All right? All right. So just motivate yourself, because I've gone through a lot of rough times from day one, and I'm still plugging away, and I'm still growing. So if I can do it, so can you. All right? Good enough. Stay safe in all you do. Get out and enjoy life. Try to experience life at a minimal cost and just have a great time. Mazske is signing out.